Hello, and welcome back to the Young Watchery. Now, I've not been on YouTube for a while. I haven't released a video in at least a few months, maybe more. It's been a while, guys. I'm sorry, I've just been incredibly busy. But today, I'm making my third video on one watch that I have mentioned in two other videos, and I want to talk about why I'm keeping my straps undone. Should cut that out. Why I'm keeping my Invicta Pro Diver. Now, anyone who is familiar with this channel knows that I've been talking a lot of crap about Invicta for quite a long time. I bought this watch, at least a year and a half ago maybe, which for me is quite a long time to hang on to a watch. So, why did I keep this watch? Well, first of all, I want to talk about some of the modifications that I've made. I will put up some closer shots so you guys can see, but the first thing is the strap. Now, this watch originally came on an oyster-style polished center link bracelet, okay? Now, this strap was, this bracelet, it was what you'd expect at the price. The quality, the workmanship was actually, pretty solid. It had, for the price again, it had solid middle links, which, let's not forget that the pre-ceramic Rolex Submariner doesn't even have solid center links. But the end links were hollow, which is acceptable at that price, in my opinion. You would definitely see the same thing on any Seikos or Orients or any brand like that at that price. The clasp was just sort of your standard clasp, fold over, had a safety clasp. And I decided I didn't like that. It was just too much in vain trying to be the Submariner. So I put it on I believe it's pronounced Eulet. Correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's a German company. And they make Perlon straps, and I believe they're sort of the creme de la creme of Perlon straps, and I also believe they actually produced Perlon straps during the war, if I'm not mistaken. And they make amazing straps, super nice. So I was wearing that on this watch for a while, and you'll see that on the second video I made about this watch. I'll leave a link or put up a card or whatever they're called. Feel free to go and check that out. But I have since swapped it to this 18mm Admiralty Gray NATO strap. And, well, I think it kind of, the vibe I'm going for with this watch now is just sort of a battle-hardened, Marlon Brando Apocalypse Now look. We'll talk about the bezel insert later. But so I thought that the gray NATO strap fit that look well. And it's also an 18mm strap on a 20mm watch, so I guess I'm kind of repping the Sean Connery Bond, 16mm one piece on the Rolex Submariner look. So yeah, sort of me paying tribute to two very iconic watches featured in films. That was sort of my inspiration, if you will. And to be honest, I just didn't feel like buying a bigger strap for this watch. I rarely wear it anyway. So that's probably the biggest change. The second biggest change is that the bezel insert is actually missing. Again, I'll put up a photo so you can see even closer how that looks. Basically what happened is that this watch originally came on a 60-minute count-up bicolor bezel, and it was sort of like in the GMT Coke style with red on the bottom, black on the top, and that doesn't really make any sense for a dive watch. There's really no purpose. On a GMT watch, you use that to distinguish day and night, but on a dive watch, it just doesn't make any sense. It's kind of a typical Invicta doing stuff that doesn't make any sense thing. So I actually went to eBay and I bought an all black one. But I put it on and I didn't quite apply it, I think, as well as I could have. I kind of messed up the adhesive and, it didn't stick on very well. It was almost like a touch too big. So I just took it off. I said, to hell with it. Again, I like it because it kind of looks like the Marlon Brando GMT in Apocalypse Now. And what I actually did is I took a Dremel and I used a little saw, the little round disc, and I actually just made a big notch here in the bezel. And I'll put up a closer photo. And what this allows you to do is basically just use it as sort of a timing bezel. If I set that notch, I can still, use it sort of like it was intended to. Not quite as easy because then I have to kind of do the mental arithmetic. But I guess the advantage is I could also use it as like a countdown timer. I could just put the notch at how many minutes I wanted it to count down to. And there were actually a lot of aviation watches during World War II that had just like a little arrow or a little notch instead of actual numerals on the bezel. I'll put up a photo. I think Longines made one for the Czech Air Force. Again, I'll try to put up some photos of these so you guys can see for yourself. Other modifications, I did remove the Cyclops, which I talked about in the previous video. Feel free to check that out. Very easy to do, totally recommended. It's already a thick watch. The Cyclops doesn't even barely magnify the date, unlike a real sub. And yeah, it makes it look a little bit less wannabe Rolex Submariner. So definitely recommend that mod. And then the other thing I did is I literally just took my Dremel. I put on like the little grinding bit. I don't know what these things are called, guys. I'll put up an image though so you guys know. And I literally just ground away the Invicta logo on the side. I just didn't like it, you know. I don't really feel proud about wearing an Invicta watch, you know, so I didn't really feel the need to have it there. So I just ground it off, and I actually just literally left it totally ground off looking. I kind of like it, to be honest. It gives it that battle-hardened, you know, adventure vibe, which is kind of cool. And I mean, I'm obviously not going to have any worry about scratching this watch because I've literally scratched it to pieces kind of on purpose. And that is where I kind of want to say that this watch is actually, it's done a lot better than I thought. You know, I'm not trying to retract some of my previous statements on Invicta, because I did mention in my review of this watch that the build quality is actually quite decent. And I mean, I have literally done things to this watch that no watch should have to go through, and it is still ticking away. I mean, it is still working. The bezel action, you know, it has loosened up a little bit, but, you know, it's still solid, especially compared to like an SKX bezel. So, yeah, that's what I've done to this watch. I'm keeping it because, well, for one, I like the battle-hardened look I've given it, and for two, if I'm being totally honest, my Invicta review has more views than any of my other videos, so I'm just kind of keeping it, you know, in tribute to that. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments about the modifications I've made to this watch, or about Invicta, or about my opinions on Invicta, specifically the Pro Diver line, please leave them below, and I will get back to you guys as quickly as possible. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll have new reviews coming soon. Catch you in the next one.